All right, welcome back to Blow Up the Team. Uh, Today we're gonna look at some more MLB preseason grades. And oh yeah, once again, this is Matt, joined by Jeremy. Today we're talking about the San Diego Padres. Padres in 2019 were pretty disappointing. They had the best start to their season in like 10 plus years, and then went below 500 for the rest of the season. And by the way, best start to the season doesn't mean like they were tearing at the league. It was like they were above 500 for longer than any point in the last many years. The Padres did start to turn over leaves though, with big prospect Fernando Tatis making his debut and performing very well in the games he did get to play in. Though he did get injured and only was able to appear in 84 games. He had 22 home runs, hit 317. His fielding was amazing to watch. He's everything he was projected to be in that short period of time. So this season for him is all about getting. But you Manny Machado made his debut. Rather disappointing one, but we'll talk about that. But you got Manny Machado in the offseason, and uh, one of the big acquisitions of the year. And you had some pretty breakout performances from another rookie, Chris Paddock, and veteran in Kirby Yates. So let's get right into it. Uh, Starting right off at the top, let's talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. So Fernando Tatis Jr. has been, son of Fernando Tatis, the only man to hit two grand slams in one inning. Uh, Made his debut last year at age 20. He played in only 84 games, but he's doing everything that people said he was going to do. He hit 22 home runs, stole 16 bags, hit 317. His walks were a little light, but when you're putting up a 900 OPS, no one is going to complain. Yeah, I'm not saying if he stays healthy, he's going to put up a 900 OPS again. That would be insane. But still, his talent is there, and it showed in the limited amount of time you got to see him play. So big focus for watching him is just making sure he stays healthy and continues to develop, because he was really awesome last year, and this team is looking for a wild card and is in the running for a wild card, and having him be your leadoff man is definitely going to be a big part of that. You traded for Tommy Pham in the offseason, and probably the most shocking trade. Tommy Pham, had two breakout seasons with Tampa Bay just to get traded. Well, he got traded to Tampa Bay, and then he got had a full season there this in 2019, and now he's coming over after a pretty awesome 2019. Very, very surprising that they got traded, because he was really liked by the fans and was one of their big stars on a team that doesn't have any. And there was some harsh words said. Actually, my favorite reaction to his trade was Blake Snell's. What we traded what do we trade Tommy Pham for? Hunter Renfroe and a couple of slapdick prospects, which I thought was pretty funny. But I'm sure the prospects didn't appreciate it. But you can't blame him. He was a big guy in that team just to get traded away. But it was a good trade for the Padres. Pham and Renfroe, very similar numbers, but I think Pham projects better for San Diego's environment, and he's definitely a better. I think he's definitely the better player between him and Renfroe. But very, very solid outfield you're getting, defensively sound, offensively sound, and a pretty. And he also walks a fair bit, and he'll be a pretty important guy for you this season, backing up Fernando Tatis. Next up, you got Manny Machado. He was your big $300 million 10-year acquisition. His first year was extremely disappointing. His power was there, his fielding was there, his temper was there, but his average plummeted from his averages in the 290s. Yeah, he went down to only hitting 256, and even his power was down over 100 points still, only hitting 796 when he had 905 of preseason. His WAR this last season was 3.1, and he averages 6.4 WAR over his previous 7 seasons. And so it's pretty abysmal stuff from what you're expecting from a guy you're paying $30 million for. Still hit 30-something home runs, but you need to see more out of a guy you're paying that much for. So definitely looking for a lot more. But
I'm kind of surprised he went to the Padres. I mean, I felt like he was looking for like kind of a bigger market. Like when I know when he was kind of fishing around in free agency, you were hearing a lot about like the big market teams, like potentially staying in LA, right? Because he was traded to LA or something the season before, right?
Yeah, LA I don't think would have worked because they had Corey Seager coming back up from injury, and they didn't really need a shortstop. But there was also stuff from Chicago, and he did do a tour of New York. I don't think the Yankees are ever really fully interested. I think they would have only been interested if they could have gotten him under 30 million a year. But I mean, we passed on him and got Gio Urshela, who had a better season than him and Bryce Harper. So, and it was actually, I'm actually really surprised. I kind of like the way he fit in Chicago better, but I can't blame him for. Listen, 300 million is 300 million. I know Chicago didn't come up to that number, and in that many years. And Chicago did a lot of things. They got John Jay, who's his like brother-in-law. They signed. They got people that mentored him to join their coaching staff. Like they were really trying. But and the other thing is, San Diego. Every hitter in San Diego is not going to look as great in this era of long balls and power. Not everyone can be Tony Gwynn in San Diego. San Diego is a horrible hitter's park. You figure, oh, hot California, it'll be great for hitting, but it's like way below. It's like below sea level or at sea level or something. I don't remember exactly how the park is, but it's it's horrible for hitting, which made it a lot more appropriate that Bartolo Colon's only home run was hit there. But yeah, so I definitely think that a lot of it could have been, adjusting to a place that you're not used to playing. He was his first year in San Diego, his first years in the NL, playing in that ballpark, 81 games, and that could be a big adjustment on a guy who's used to hitting in Camden Yards, which is a very hitter-friendly park, and also hitting in, Fenway and Yankee Stadium, you know, very hitter-friendly. Not something he'd be, and so it's a big change for him. And we got traded to the Dodgers, another hitter-friendly stadium, so. Up next, you got Eric Hosmer. He was your big acquisition in 2018. I think you could have him for 7 years at a lot of money. He had a very disappointing first year. This is what I mean. I think it's just the adjustment year because Eric Hosmer had a very disappointing 2018. He signed him 8 years, 144 million. Um, he only hit after hitting 318 in 2017, his last year on the Royals. He only hit 253 for you in 2018. He improved it to 265 this season with better power and 30 more RBIs. So he's definitely trending in the right direction numbers wise, and he is only turning 30 this season. Eric Hosmer, don't even realize it. He came up to 21. So he's only going to be 30 this season. He almost had 100 RBIs last season, and he improved in every offensive category with the exception of walking. But overall, expect a better season out of him. And if he can put up, similar numbers to what he did in Kansas City, obviously that'll be a huge, huge help to this team because they need this four to perform because their second four not so big on. Their second four is going to be a lot of swap outs. Right now, you're projected Trent Grisham, Jurickson Profar, Francisco Mejia, and Franchi Cordero as your bottom four guys. All low average, not so much power. Jurickson Profar is very good at hitting, or not hitting, sorry, playing a lot of different positions. And so he can definitely be a utility guy. He can move him around when you want to give Manny Machado a couple innings to rest or something. But overall, I expect your bench to be swapping out a lot because you guys like Will Myers, who barely got a chance to play last year. You signed Brian Dozier. You got a lot of guys who can fill in spots. So expect that to be a very much evolving lineup to see who has a breakout year on your bench. Um, so yeah, I try to change it up where I don't, just talk about each individual person because at the general, their bottom four hitters profile out very similarly. Low average, not that good hitters. Decent, but not great. And honestly, some of them pretty below average. Um, the exception being like Francisco Mejia, he hits better than most catchers in the league, but he's young and hasn't had much playing time, so I have to wait and see. Moving to your starters, the one sole standout of last season was 100% Chris Paddock. He had his rookie season and was pretty good. 3.3 2.3 ERA, a .98 WHIP, 153 strikeouts, and 140 innings. Made 26 starts. Really solid numbers for, and this season you're looking for him to continue to develop himself as that ace on that staff, because the rest of the staff is kind of lacking, kind of middling to lacking. So he's going to have to do a lot of carrying for this lineup, this rotation. Behind him, you have got Garrett Richards projected. Garrett Richards had a pretty solid 2014 and 2015, but then he hasn't played a complete season since. He put up decent numbers 2016 to 2018, but 6 games, 16 games. And then last year he only played in 3 games in an 8.3 ERA. So I'm not so convinced of those numbers of him being your second starter. I think Zach Davies' profile is that much better as your second starter. You got him in a trade from the Brewers. He's a pretty solid starting pitcher. Had a really good season last year. 3.5 ERA, 10-7, 102 strikeouts, 110 innings. He's not a big strikeout guy, but overall he's pretty solid. He needs to work on the walks a little bit, especially if you're not going to strike a lot of guys out. 51 walks, 102 strikeouts is pretty rough. But moving on, you got Joey Lucchesi. He had a all right season last year, 4.180 ERA. He showed glimpses. His stats are all pretty average. If he can put some things together, he could end up being a very solid pitcher. I think he's young. He's only 27. So lots of room for improvement. Definitely need to wait and see what you get from him. There's a reason he's at the end of the rotation. You got Dinelson Lemay, who had a really bad 2017, struggled in 20. It didn't pitch in 2018. Got injured in 2019. I don't know if he got injured, if he got called up. I don't remember exactly, but he only pitched 14 games, 4.07 ERA, about just a little bit above league average. Definitely looking for more out of him. He's young, again, only 27, but need to see what you get. Then that's the big problem with this rotation. You have a very good starter in Chris Paddock. He's not locked down ace level yet, but that's because he's only in his second season. Chris Paddock is 24. He got a lot. He got the best years of his life playing for you. But then the rest of the guys behind him are a lot of question marks. And the similar situation in the bullpen here. Actually, there was. You guys made a lot of smart moves in the bullpen. Um, Kirby Yates. Kirby Yates had a bad couple of years. 2016 he pitched for the Yankees, 5.23 ERA. 2018 he really had a breakout with the 2.14 ERA, 63 innings, very quietly. Not a lot of people talked about it. 2019, no one could ignore him anymore. A 1.19 ERA, 41 saves, 101 strikeouts, and 60 innings. And very close race between him and Josh Hader for the Reliever of the Year award. Just lights out. And that was like the way he's turned his career around, the way he's pitching. That's a pretty damn good closer to have, and he'll make a big difference for if you guys make the playoffs or not this season. Drew Pomeranz had a pretty rough season on paper. 4.85 ERA. 2018 he had a 6.2 ERA, but he got traded from the Giants to Milwaukee and then became a reliever, and his velocity jumped, his stats jumped in the right direction. So definitely be really interesting to see, because it seems like he's moving in the reliever direction, because that's how he started his career. And so maybe now that he's shown he's much better in the relief position, maybe he can have some much significantly better numbers than he did last year. So definitely have a very interesting piece in him, and I think he could end up being a pretty big steal if he continues to do what he did when he was in Milwaukee. You got Emilio Pagan. I like Emilio Pagan. He takes forever in between his pitches. He's up there with Pedro Baez as some of the slowest in between pitching, but yeah, the guy is a pretty excellent pitcher. 70 innings, 2.31 ERA, 96 strikeouts, only 13 walks, throws 95. and also he's throwing harder than he did the last 2 seasons he's pitched. So, and he's gotten 20 saves last year. So he's shown he can pitch as a closer. And so you got you got two, proven bullpen arms and one guy who had a run in the bullpen very strong. Need to wait and see how he performs. The rest, there's a lot of questions. Like you got Matt Strom, who had a breakout 2018 and a terrible 2019. Now you also did try to make him make starts, so maybe that was the mistake. So we have to wait and see with him. Craig Stammen had a decent year last year and a really good year in 2018, so should be pretty solid again. The bullpen overall, like, it actually feels like a pretty good bullpen. Like I put it up there. Like, not a lot of big names, like scary names, but guys who've been putting up pretty decent numbers. And it ain't all about the big flash names if they can't deliver what this bullpen can deliver. And I think this bullpen is actually I don't even know. I don't know if I want to say it's stronger than the lineup is, but it's definitely a strong bullpen. But yeah, so you got some interesting pieces here and a lot to work with. And so, but the combination of Kirby Yates, Emilio Pagan, Drew Pomeranz, Matt Strom, Craig Stammen, not like two of them are blow you away type relievers. The other three are very solid, marketable relievers. When you got five good relievers like that, I feel like that's like a very solid bullpen. And so overall, like, this bullpen's pretty scary. Moving on to focus players, you got to focus on Chris Paddock. He is your best starter, and he's the most fun starter. He's very emotive. He's young. He pitches with emotion. He's a lot of fun to watch, and definitely going to be the leader of this rotation. And definitely expect him to try to step into that role this season. Start stepping into that role this season. And it could be asking a lot of him. Don't expect the as great numbers because once again, sophomore, he's new to this whole thing. But definitely expect very similar numbers. I expect. So moving on, Manny Machado, you need to get better numbers out of him. You need to get him. If you can even get him hitting 270s, 280s, that's what you need out of him because he showed that he still had homers last year. He hit the same amount of home runs like hitting in San Diego. So if he can get an average up and get his power numbers will improve, everything will improve. His fielding's pretty good. Like, the guy's a solid player. You just need to get him playing to his $30 million self because these are the prime years of his career. Going next, Fernando Tatis Jr. He is the future of this organization as, like, franchise player. Machado is going to be there for 10 years, but this guy's the homegrown. This guy's the homegrown phenomenon. And the combination of him and Machado make a very, very terrifying left field, left of the diamond, because they will make a lot of plays and will make you feel very sad if you hit a ground ball towards them. So not just his fielding though, his bat's electric. He's got the skills of a major leaguer. He just needs to stay healthy. You need him to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, I think, like, big things will happen for you. Going next, Kirby Yates. I believe he's coming up on the end of his contract because he's been on his rookie contract, even though he came up when he's a little older, and so he's 33 now. Now, the only case now, as long as the Padres don't, have a horrible, horrible first half, they're well below 500. There's no chance they make it to the playoffs. Expect him to be your go-to guy, making almost every save. And if things don't work out, expect to see him on the trade block because he is in his last year. And definitely a guy the Padres might want to consider re-signing if he can do anything similar to what he did last season. So definitely fun to watch. His split finger fastball is his signature pitch, and he does a pretty magnificent job with it. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about the Padres. Lineup, it's a B. Solid lineup, good lineup. The bottom half is really weak, and your big players like Eric Hosmer and Manny Machado, they're good. We all know what they can do, but they haven't quite figured out how to hit in San Diego yet. And so you need big improvements from them. And Fernando Tatis is Fernando Tatis. There's nothing to say about him. He's amazing. And Tommy Pham is also very good. Very good lineup. Not one of the top lineups in the league though. Bullpen I'm giving a B plus. A guy like Kirby Yates, can carry a bullpen, and he doesn't need to carry the bullpen with Emilio Pagan, a guy who has shown he can be a closer, is your setup man. And when I was looking at like ratings for like going into the preseason before we decided to do this, before the season got canceled, the Padres were always up there on the list as one of the better bullpens, and I didn't realize like just how many good they got. Like as we saw in the stats of Matt Strom and oh god, and Craig Stammen. They have a pretty solid bullpen, even if it's a quietly good one. So definitely their biggest rotation. Um, Rotation now, yeah, it's difficult for me to justify giving them anything higher than a C plus. Good from the first guy, question marks all the way down. It's it's a big question. You got a couple of decent guys like Zach Davies. We got a decent pitcher in Zach Davies who can make a pretty big impact if he does what he did last season. And he's got a very good group of fielders behind him, which is important for a guy who gets a lot of weak contact. But the rest of the rotation is a lot of questions. The guys who can't stay healthy, guys who haven't performed well. So on paper, it's not that good of a rotation. Definitely big weakness on this ball club. So have to wait and see how that improves and see if anyone that can have their breakout season.
All right.
All right. So anything you want to add, Jeremy?
I hope that the Manny Machado's contract is a complete lost cause. Would hate to see that.
I think it. I mean, like, listen, if I don't think it's gonna be a complete lost cause. I mean, it's not like he's getting paid 30 million and then hit 200, so it could have been worse. But he's got to pick it up.
He's got to do something
Not that I
different than what he
think a
did.
lot of the MLB will care because he's everyone's favorite guy to hate on.
Fair enough.
But I like him. I like watching him play. So
Well, then I think that's it
anyway,
for us for this week.
yes, it is. Where do we go next week?
You see, someone who was well prepared for that question would have just had that answer pulled up for you and wouldn't have to be scrambling to go figure that question out.
Well, while you're doing that, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out our social media. We got our Instagram and our Twitter down below. We also got our Discord. Come check out Discord.
So next
Come
week,
talk to us.
we go to Kansas City and then Los Angeles.
So, Royals and Dodgers?
Um, Royals and Angels for you, Dodgers on Monday. For me, Chiefs and Chargers and Rams on Friday.
All right. I get to talk about a bad team and a team that wants to believe it's better than it actually is.
One of the
Got it.
best players in all of baseball, though.
Listen, Mike Trout is an absolute monster. They did not need a hitter. They did not need to go after Anthony Rendon. Don't get me wrong, it improves their lineup quite a bit. But the biggest problem for the Angels is pitching. And did they get pitching? Yeah, they got Dylan Bundy. Congratulations. They're like, you're just wasting Mike Trout. I mean, listen, Mike Trout's got 12 years to figure out, you know, with the Angels to make hopefully a playoff. Like the best player of a generation has played one playoff. Like that's insane. Man's won 3 MVPs and has no chance at the postseason.
It just goes to show you how much you need a team and how little baseball is an individual sport.
Well, I mean, that's just it. If they didn't have Mike Trout, that team would be trash. That team would be, tanking if it wasn't for Mike Trout. Mike Trout is putting up just ridiculous. Like his WAR is ridiculous. He already has more career WAR than Derek Jeter. He's been playing for 7 seasons now. Like the guy is a monster. He's Mickey Mantle with two good knees. Like,
We could get into that all next week before you go too deep into that. I think that's a good place to call it a week. We will come see you on Monday. Make sure to check out his White Sox video yesterday and some of the other videos that we've put out within the past few weeks. Like you said, leave a like on the video, and we'll see you next time. Peace.